Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt. So, last week on Twitter, one Harmony Ginger said, and I quote, "My DM inserted a Gorgon named Shamblo into a game. I couldn't remember the name and called it ShamWow. Then I read the story she was from and put her in my game as an NPC. Now my players call her ShamWow, and it makes me lust for violence. I'm sorry for calling her that before." So, Miss Ginger has fallen into the trap of fantasy naming conventions, both for characters and for places. If you name them something simple like Bill or Joe or Sally, you risk breaking immersion. Because who wants to believe a necromancer named Bob or something like that every time? Or as one former player of mine did, he would simply say, "And the character's named something appropriate." And they'd move on. That's when you knew that was not an important character. Now, I once let my players name a small town on my map, which was labeled with a simple dot on the map, and they named it Spot, the town of Spot. It felt disrespectful, like the effort I put into the game was just for a joke. Yes, Monty Python had a wizard named Tim the Enchanter, but that was an improvised joke, based on the actor forgetting his line and just saying, Tim. Well, that joke was an out-of-place name joke, 50 years old this last April. Kind of hard to believe that movie's been out that long. Anyway, if you try to make a proper fantasy name, something Tolkien-esque, that's not easy either. Your players will have troubles spelling and pronouncing words that are complicated and totally new. Things you made up wholesale just because they sounded really long and flowing. And so, when I take table notes, I spell phonetically, trying to make it all make sense when I repeat it back. Now, for practical purposes, just practical purposes, they're going to take a long name and shorten it into a nickname. And when you're making up your long, flowy names, think of every kid's name that was ever mocked on a playground. There's always a way to twist it into something that sounds dumb. I recommend keeping your fantasy place names or character names at about 2 syllables for the most part. So, for place names, I tend to use a descriptor for the place and then run it through Google Translate. Afrikaans and Finnish are great for names like taking gray mountains and turning them into Grijsberg. And yeah, I'm probably pronouncing those incorrectly, and I'm probably using those grammatically incorrectly. No disrespect is intended. For a character name, if you want a long, flowery name like Lothlorien Dreamflower, give the party a "Call Me Loth" to give them something practical to work with and avoid any crappy nicknames assigned by others. I'm hoping that this helps. Let me know in the comments if there's more you want to go over on that. But that's just my opinion. DM Kurt out.